We're fortunate to have as a panelist today Mr. Evan Garber. Mr. Garber is the president here at Escape Philosophy Systems. He began consulting in process manufacturing in 1997, where he is a reseller and implementer of various process manufacturing solutions. In 2001, he co-founded EDS with the sole mission of providing industry-leading process manufacturing software solutions to the small and mid-sized market space. And without further ado, I'd now like to turn it over to Mr. Garber.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to be talking about the O2 Mobile Warehouse. For some reason, this typo keeps happening. The O2 Mobile Warehouse, the easy choice. The O2 Mobile Warehouse was developed specifically for MAS 500, the Sage MAS 500 ERP. And today we're going to talk about three concepts that make the difference between a mobile warehouse solution that'll help your company and one that'll be very difficult for your company to use. So kind of the layout of the presentation today. On the right, we're going to have some of the key concepts, the three key concepts that we want to talk about. And on the left-hand side, you're going to see the barcode scanner. Now, this is going to be a kind of a real-time view of what's going on in my physical scanner here in my hand. So the first concept I want to talk about is live, the concept of data now. What this means is that what's happening in MAS 500 needs to be happening or displayed out in the warehouse in the scanners. What's happening in the scanners needs to be represented in MAS 500. So one of the key concepts that we have, probably the most key concept within O2 Mobile Warehouse, is that data is live. This system was written specifically for MAS 500 and sits directly on MAS 500. There's no linking of tables. There's no duplication of inventory masters. This was made specifically for MAS 500. So let's take a look at the concept of live. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan a bin barcode. Okay. So in this bin barcode, you can see that we have two items, that it shows two items in this particular bin, which is A1-4. And my Kalamata olives is actually a lot. So if I go into my Explorer, my Inventory Status Explorer in MAS 500, you can see that in A1-4 we have the same exact items. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a move. So I'm going to move some of my Kalamata olives. I'm going to move 10 gallons. And I'm going to move them to bin A1-5. Okay. Do I want to move all those? Yes. So what's happening right now is it's doing a move in MAS 500 and it confirms when it's done. So now you'll see that we have 164 gallons instead of 174 in this bin. Now if I scan A1-5, you'll see that 10 gallons are there as well. So now if I go back into my Explorer and I do a refresh, you see that the quantities are exactly the same as we have on our handheld because we're looking at the same data. It's real time, it's live data. Now in addition to moving, so it's very easy to do transactions in the O2 Mobile Warehouse. What I just did was a move, but we could also do an adjust. A move says move something from here to here, so we have conservation of quantities. We can just as easily do an adjustment. So I could say maybe a forklift ran into this bag of Kalamata, this bucket of Kalamata of olives. What I can do is I can do an adjustment, and when I'm done, I can say let's go ahead and post the adjustment. And just like MAS 500, we have to give it a reason code. So we could say forklift damage, spill, whatever the reason is. So it's very easy to be able to say, I can move an item or I can adjust an item. Okay. So let's get back to the main menu. Okay, so that's the concept of live. The idea of anything that happens in MAS 500 happens on the scanner, anything that happens on the scanner is immediately reflected in MAS 500. Let's talk about our second concept, which is lean. And this is one of the things that makes the O2 Mobile Warehouse different from all the others. The idea with lean is that you do less work, but you're adding more value. So those of you who are in manufacturing, you know that lean tries to get rid of all the unnecessary processes in order to do your task. Okay, so let's take a look on the scanner. What I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to talk about purchase order receiving. In a lot of mobile warehouse solutions, you have to go through a kind of a tree in order to get to a function. So here's an example. For receiving, whether it's a DOS-based system or a Windows-based system like the O2 Mobile, many times you have to say, well, which module do I want to go into? And from there you have to say what you want to do. Do I want to receive a PO? Do I want to do a transfer order, etc.? Okay, so I went into this function. Within that, I say now, okay, I want to receive a PO. Now it needs to know which PO number. So I can do a lookup, I can scroll around and I can find it. And eventually, I'm going to get into my purchase order receipt. Now, the concept with the O2 Mobile is that I did about 7 steps that were unnecessary. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the same concept again. We're going to do the same function again with a different concept. The concept here is smart barcode. So if you think about having either a copy of your purchase order at the receiving dock or a list of your expected receipts for the day, and each of these expected receipts has a barcode by it. So if I scan this smart barcode, the system says, oh, you're going into a purchase order, so I need to take you into purchase order receipts, and it says, this is purchase order number 139, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it up for you. The concept here is that we leaned out the entire process. We took out 7 steps. Now all we have to do is the value added pieces of the purchase order receipt, which in this case happens to be, what is the lot number? Okay, we're going to say lot number 123. We're going to enter the quantity, and we're done with our receipt. Okay, there's a lot of things we can do, and I'll explain a couple of them, but the concept here is that the people at the receiving dock don't have to learn, every time they do a receipt, they don't have to do 7 additional steps. All I have to do is scan a barcode. If you're lot tracked, enter a lot number. If you're serial tracked, enter a serial number, enter a quantity, and you're done with the receiving process. Very simple and very easy for people to learn. Okay, let's take a look at some of the things we can do. So as you can see, there's actually 3 items on this purchase order. I can go between them. I can receive them onto a pallet. So within the O2 Mobile Warehouse, we actually have pallet tracking, true pallet tracking. We can do, as you can see here, we're receiving it to Denver location in my receiving bin, which is I've defined as A1-1. So within O2 Mobile, we can do directed putaways based on rules. We can have it go to just a receiving area, and then you do kind of a 2-step putaway, where you receive it into a receiving area, and then from there it's moved into the warehouse. We also integrate with the MAS 500 vendor performance. So if in this case there was some carrier damage, defective goods, and improper labeling, again, this is done. We never have to touch this again.